Dan Morris, you're watching Bosun Dan Bushcraft, and today we're going to be looking at cordage, both natural and man-made cords and all sorts of stuff like that. But before we get to that, it wouldn't be much of a Bosun Dan video without a fire and a bit of a cookout, so I'm going to cook my lunch. I'm going to get the fire going and start that cooking before we start waffling on about cord and the like. And get a nice coffee on. You've probably noticed the presence of Basher City behind me. It's been, as always in Staffordshire, it's just constant rain, and every day you try and get out it's rain, rain, rain. I say this every time though, as much as I don't mind getting out and playing around in the rain, it just makes filming 10 times harder, really. A lot of you might be wondering, where have I been? It has been quite a while since I've put anything up. I got some nasty little cold, or it might have been the flu, it could have been COVID, I'm not 100% sure what it was. Either way, it was evil, and that put me down for at least a month. It ended up bursting one of my eardrums, and this is a bit gross, but I was like leaking pink ear fluid for a good couple of days. Ended up on antibiotics and steroid pills and things like that from the doctor. I don't usually go to the doctor, but one eardrum had blown out and I could feel it passing to the other side of my head, so I had to suck it up, go see the doctor, and you know, had to admit defeat on that one and go and get some medication. We're back now though, so we should have a nice regular stream of videos again after that horrendous period of injury and all of that. Anyway, let's get some firewood made up, get a fire going, get a brew on, get some food cooking, and we can crack on with what we're doing. That's it, just let the fire get burning, and I'll make my cooking sticks. Some good old chicken and beef on the go. So, as always where I am, everything's soaking wet. You can see all the smoke and steam coming out of the fire. You can also see where I've sort of stacked it up like a firewood Jenga. Probably a little higher than it needs to be, but the reason I do that is because I know the stuff on the top is taking advantage of the heat from the bottom, and it's drying it before the flames even get there. So that should just help give it a little boost. Although I can see this might require a little bit of the old wafty magic, but it should. Oh, it's a damp day. It's going to need a bit of the old dragon breath for this. key with the old dragon breath is long, slow breaths. Don't be like, because you'll just blow it out. Just keep it nice and consistent, because what you're really trying to do is get it really hot in there. More than seeing flames, you want that heat. Wood gasificates about 300 degrees Celsius or close to that, and that's when it really wants to ignite. And you know, it's how friction fire works. When you get it up to that certain heat by the friction, boff, self-ignites. Well, this rain isn't helping the situation with the fire, and it's been a bit of a pig, but it is getting running. So, as always with bushcraft, we must adapt and overcome. A little bit of nice stretchy tarred bank liner and an umbrella. Keep a bit of this rain off the fire while it gets going. See, this is perfect for the video though. That bit of tarred bank liner and a brolly is just showing you the importance of cordage. I don't know, weather. It is a flame on its own though. It is self-sustaining. It is going to get going. We're just getting creative. Although this poor old umbrella probably isn't going to survive the day. Whilst that fire just continues to get ready. Prepare me chicken. Nice bit of flavouring. Some Woodobo, courtesy of the Wooded Beardsman. You can get that, I believe, on Fowler's. What does it say on it? FowlersMakeryandMischief.com is where you buy that. Very nice, several different types. Smells absolutely fantastic. Proper little blend of herbs and spices, and it goes very well with game meat or anything like that. I don't recommend it for pork and bacon because it is quite salty. So really what you want with this, the standard Woodobo, because there is maple Woodobo which is a lot sweeter and doesn't have as much salt in it, which again is very nice, but the standard Woodobo, very good for things that aren't particularly salty. Don't chuck it on bacon though, it'll just be salt overload, and you won't like that. Right, it's going enough. Let's get a bit of chicken somewhere near it, start warming it. Now the advantages of a wet smoky fire like this on a day like today is I'm actually smoking me chicken at the same time as I'm cooking it. That should make for some interesting flavours. Yes, I'm also Woodoboing the woodland floor a little bit, but magic. Oh, I know, I smell everything. People keep telling me that, like, why do you smell everything? It's just what you do, innit? Or like firewood, why are you tasting your wood? I'm touching it to my lip to see if it's damp or cold, or because if it's cold it usually means it's damp. Good old meatballs on a stick. Oh yes. Like I say, when you're out in the woods, if you can't cook it on a stick, do you really want it? Look at that. Sensational. Getting hungry. I only just started cooking and it's making me hungry. As usual, showing my special skill there, which is being able to attract the smoke no matter where I am. Lovely. Excellent. Right. Whoa. I think we're about ready to take that brolly away now. The rain seems to have calmed itself down a touch. Don't think we really need that now. There we go. I shall put my anti-rainy fire device away. Beautiful. Now, I'm not going to bother boiling the water just yet for me brew because it's a little on the early side for that. It's just, I know how long the chicken and stuff can take to cook, so we'll get that cooking now. There's a load of soggy stuff from last time I was here having a fire. We'll get that bleeding about, start drying it out. Okay then folks, so cordage. Let's take a look at our first type of cordage. The first type of cordage is a man-made cord, Paracord, the old favourite. Now if you've been out bushcrafting and you've not been using Paracord, then you must be living under a rock because this stuff is everywhere. I use it for basher lines and all sorts of stuff. This is the 3mm Paracord. Good strong stuff. It will take something like 120 pounds easily. I know that I've tested it myself, personally been able to hang my entire body weight on this sort of stuff. gently, you wouldn't jump or anything, but I'm about 14 and a half stone. I'm not sure exactly what that is in pounds, but I know that this stuff will take that. It is very strong. This is the 3mm variety. You should be able to pick this up for about, it should be less than £20 for about 100-metre roll of it, really. I know there's some places that like to sell it in little wines or hanks of 30-40 odd metres. Don't do that, it's a waste of time. Just get yourself straight online and find the 100-metre roll of it and save yourself some money and have plenty of paracord. And the really good thing about this paracord, so I'll just keep looking down there checking my fire out, but the really good thing about all paracord is you can see how you've got your outer sheath, but then inside there is your central cord line. Now that central cord line there is brilliant because it's really strong and it's really thin. It's great for making little fishing rigs and things like that. But if you are stuck somewhere, we talk survival for a moment, you're either stuck somewhere or you've just not got that much paracord. What do? Well, simple, isn't it? If I pull that out the middle, where's the other end? Probably it's not singed, so you should be able to, with a little bit of wigglery. That's it. Keep pulling on the sheath like that. Smoke's coming in, obviously. That's what it does. And just keep pulling that sheath like that. Start from this end where you've got your thin cord. Let it bunch. As soon as it's bunched, grip it, and then just run your hand down it like that. And when you've done that enough times, what you're going to end up with is now 2 pieces of cord where you did have only 1. And again, that outer sheath is good and strong, and so is that inner piece. And this is a really good thing with paracord that you don't see that many people doing for whatever reason, but if you're running low on it, I have now got twice as much for the price of 1. And like I say, that inner cord is great for making up your little fishing rigs and stuff, because obviously you want a thinner cord like that the fish don't see. Anybody who does a lot of fishing knows that as soon as the fish see something, they get very suspicious and they won't go anywhere near it. Now, this outer cord and stuff does burn as well. You can use it to help you light a fire if you have to. Obviously it smells, but paracord is very, very recyclable, very reusable. Take it down, take it with you, and use it again and again and again. Unfortunately though, it is like a polyestery material. It's plastic basically, so it's not great leaving it lying around in the woodlands. It's better to clean this up and take it with you. So this is once again paracord. This is your 550 paracord, called 550 paracord because it will hold 550 pounds of weight without any problem. Now it is visibly a little thicker than the 3mm, which is what you want because it's a stronger cord, but just like the 3mm stuff, I'll just cut this end off it because I've melted the end to stop it unraveling. Just like your 3mm cord, inside there are a nice little bundle of more cords, and you can see how many have we got here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that's 11, and this really skinny one in the middle there. I don't know what that's all about. That's really nice and thin and strong. So again, I see that and I'm thinking fishing. That is basically a fishing line, and I don't know how strong it is, but yeah, probably about 10 pounds to break. You're probably not catching a 10-pound fish. So from whatever your one length of this 550 cord is, you're basically, with the sheath as well, you're getting 10 times the cord, depending on what you're doing with it. Obviously, certain things, that one little cord's probably not going to be strong enough to do your job, but I mean that, yeah, that's got some strength to it. And obviously, because it's thin like that, you could even use that stitching things, repairing your fabrics, whatever you need, really useful like that. So Paracord as a survival trick, brilliant, brilliant stuff. This 550 cord, again, you should really for 100 meters be somewhere around the 25-30 pound. It's obviously going to be more expensive. It's bigger, it's thicker, it's stronger than the 3mm. But again, I personally wouldn't waste my time buying it in a small hank of so many meters. It is worth getting the 100-meter roll, because once you start using it, you just don't stop. Its uses just keep going and going and going. So handy stuff, the 550, good and strong, like I say, very, very reusable stuff. This is strong enough you could literally hang hammocks with it without any bother whatsoever. I have once made a hammock out of 550 Paracord. Not very comfortable, but it did its job. Just smoking myself out for a change. Oh man, it's proper in my eyes. So next on the list, it's not really cord. Steel garden wire. Again, very reusable. And alright, it's going to take a while, but it is biodegradable. It will rust down and turn into nothing over time left in the woods. This stuff serves quite a few useful little functions. It's kind of reusable. Now, obviously over time it's going to metal fatigue and snap, but it's always handy to have some of this with you for certain things. If you've heard of the Swedish fire torch, which is basically where you cut a section of log, split it into 4, keep it apart. You can either stick it in the ground, or if you want to fasten it back together, garden wire, yeah, a few sticks in the bottom to hold it open a little bit, wrap this around it, light the middle, there you go, you've got a stove or a small fire that's going to burn for several hours. This stuff though is also really useful because you can fashion it into fishing hooks and things like that. You can also fasten things together really nice and tight with this by twisting it up and stuff, so it can be very, very, very useful stuff. I actually once saw somebody use garden wire like this and make a grill to go over the fire with it by just literally sort of plaiting it together. And we only used it like once, but still, you can do things like that with this garden wire. Very handy. I've always got a roll or two of this lying around somewhere, just because you can do a lot of useful things with it. It's like I say, at some point in the summer I'll show you making fish hooks with this sort of stuff. It's very effective. Oh, the rain's coming in now. That's why I put basher up. I might just take you underneath the basher for the moment. Aye, camera's waterproof, but still. Ooh, excuse me. Head yourselves into Basher City with bosun down for a moment. That's it. Whilst the fire's smoking away out there. So next is this stuff. You've seen me use this before a few times. The tarred bank line. Wonderful stuff, soaked in tar. It's not affected by sunlight, so it lasts a hell of a long time. It won't rot either. I believe this stuff's got a break strain of about 320 pounds. I wrote all this down, forgot my little book. Obviously in a bit of a rush this morning, but it's very, very strong stuff. It's also slightly stretchy. Look at me, I look a bit dark under the eyes. That's still the remnants of that illness the other week. Honestly, that was really nasty. I was so ill. I still get a little out of breath walking uphill and things like that, but it's passing by, it's going. Anyway, the tar backline, really stretchy stuff, and because of the tar on it, it knots really, really well. Knots won't come undone. That might make it a little less reusable. You might have to cut your knots, but it is incredibly strong and it's going to last a long, long time. And again, because it's nice and thin, I look at that and I can just see fishing setups and things like that. But the trouble with it is nylon, and because of that, it's not particularly biodegradable anyway. It's not a great material to go leaving all over the woods, and there's not a lot left on this roll. I used this when I was making the Bushcraft chair a couple of months ago, which isn't here today because some kind soul has decided to slice all the ropes up and just distribute the chair all about the woods. They haven't burned it, they've just thrown it everywhere. I don't know what that's all about. They haven't taken the lines away, so they haven't done it for tidying up purposes. It just seems to be some grumpy sabotage. They've just left all the line everywhere. So well done, thank you whoever that was, really, you know. And then people complain that, I mean obviously I'm not a kid, but people complain, oh, kids are always hanging around doing nothing. Probably because if you go and try and do anything, some soulless person finds it and destroys it for absolutely no reason whatsoever. So thank you for that, whoever it was. That is one of the main reasons why I am working towards purchasing my own woodland, and it will be private. There won't be nobody allowed in there for exactly this. You try and do anything and somebody comes and sabotages it. So when I do eventually own a woodland, it'll be nice to be able to build things and then be left alone. So if you do find somebody else's shelter or something in the woods, leave it alone. Just leave it alone, especially if it's all made out of natural materials. It's not doing any harm. Just leave it be. Somebody might be coming back to it and, you know, having a practice, having a play. There's really no need to interfere with it. I see lots of people's attempts at shelters and things like that around these woods. I admire them, and I think, yeah, it's nice to see people having a go, and I'll leave them alone. So anyway, that's enough said about that. So tarred bank line, brilliant stuff, incredibly strong, very, very useful. I have another couple of rolls of this stuff at home. As you can see, this roll's been well and truly used. Go for it. So another man-made cord, garden twine. This stuff is dirt cheap, available anywhere, the garden centres, anywhere where you've got bits of plants and stuff like that. You can find it all over the place. It's quite thin. It's not ridiculously strong, but you get a lot of it for not much money, so you can just use a lot of it. It comes made of all sorts of different things depending on where you've had it from. It could be hemp, it could be flax, it could be whatever. They make it out of lots of different stuff. You can even get it in like coir and things that it's been made from. But the good thing about that is, I don't mind tasting it, it's just, it does taste funny. Not unpleasant. Yeah, I'm doing that again. But the good thing with it is completely biodegradable. Anything you've used it in the woods for, feel free to just leave it there. After a season of weather and sunlight, it will just break down and turn into nothing. So temporary usage for just general tying purposes, your good old garden twine, it's always a go. Basically, it's cheap, you get a lot of it, you don't have to worry about cleaning it up. It's starting to rain a bit heavier now, so I think stuff's nowhere near cooked because, well, the fire's not very big, but as it's starting to rain, I'm going to boil some water, have myself a nice little coffee break. Hope it brightens up in a minute so we can get out from underneath this basher. Made a little adjustment to the meatballs, put them more central over that tiny fire in the hopes that we can cook it. Just stopped for a nice brew break, given that this weather is not great, and for one of the cords I need to go digging up in ground, and I don't fancy that out there when it's like this. It's only a light shower, but still feels like it's never going to stop raining. But I've always said we do live at like the wettest place on earth. Still, it's never a bad time for a coffee break. Oh, lovely. Just see, I think with that chicken I might be here all week. I did only make a little fire though. When I got here and I started prepping for it, it wasn't really raining much, so I only prepared for a small fire thinking that'll be more than enough. Which is interesting. Smoke. Which is interesting, because usually one of the things I tend to do every time is produce far too much firewood, usually more than I'm ever going to need. Whereas today, I've either got it just right, or I haven't made enough. That remains to be seen. We'll find that out as the day goes on, as it'll either be just the right amount or not enough. It's definitely not too much today. Yes, it's finally starting to cook now. It's looking better. Meatballs are looking delightful. I'm tempted to give it another scattering of Woodobo, to be fair. How much is too much? Delicious. So just had a battery die then, just had to have a quick battery change. So, whilst that's cooking, let's talk about another form of cord. So another form of useful cordage is leather or rawhide. This is leather, it's not technically rawhide, and it's been treated with something to give it that colour and waterproof it, but I couldn't get any rawhide, so this will represent rawhide. Now, leather and rawhide are brilliant things for certain tasks, anything that you want it to be really tightly fitted, so attaching spearheads to sticks or arrowheads and things like that. Rawhide is particularly good for that, because if you get it wet it becomes quite stretchy, or you can use warm water or maybe nearly boiling. Don't boil it too much, otherwise you'll cook it and it will then be brittle and snap easily. But with rawhide and leather, if you get them wet, they become nice and stretchy, and then as you dry them, or as they then dry out themselves, they really tighten up, super tight. So if you wrapped a spearhead onto the end of a stick using rawhide or leather, it will then dry and tighten it up mega tight. And then you can waterproof it so that it doesn't get wet and stretch again using, well, anything really. Pine sap is a good one. The birch oil that we made a couple of months back, that's brilliant, because it'll also, birch oil would then, it would also stop the leather sort of corroding with sunlight and having those sorts of issues and problems from things like that, and it would keep the water out, keep it supple, and also sort of give it a nice tan look about it too. So leather strips and things, perfectly usable. Cordage, this is actually just what I had for demonstration. Very strong, and you can feel a nice bit of stretch in it. This is actually a spare cord from me Wazoo necklace, the little striker and sharpener that I'm not wearing today because I'm not doing any sharpening, so I didn't bring it, but that's where I got that from. Lovely stuff. Another good thing with natural cord is making your own. What I've got here is a gardener's Rafia hank. It's a material called Rafia, very fibrous and long, and it's excellent for using for tying your plants up when you've got young plants or young trees and stuff. It's good for that because, unlike a lot of strings or garden wire and stuff, when the tree grows or when the plant grows and it gets tight around the cord or whatever, it'll tend to damage it, but the Rafia will just rot away in the rain, or the tree growth will completely just burst it open and set itself free. I've bought this, I haven't found Rafia growing around here, and I've bought this because usually what you would use is nettle fibres, and that's from the skin on the outside of the nettles. Now that makes a really strong cord. Problem is, this time of year we haven't got any decent nettles. I didn't really think about that, so another point, at some point I'll show it you with nettles. It's exactly though the same process of how you make string and cord. It's the same thing, and like I say, the nettle, brilliant for it, but we haven't got any. So we're going to use the Rafia, and I'll just show you the process of making your own cord and string. Just keeping an eye on my little barbecue there. So whenever you're doing this, if you're making it from one piece, you're going to fold it in half, okay? But you don't want it to be perfectly in half. You want it to be, so there's completely in half, but you want it to be so one piece is a bit longer than the other. And the reason is later on when we come to join other pieces of it into this, if they're at the exact same height, that becomes a weak point. So you want one join to be staggered away from the other, okay? Otherwise it'll just pull apart really mega easily. Now I'll show you joining it in a minute. But making your own string, and you can do this from pretty much any fibrous material, and all you're going to do, keeping my eye on that, all you're going to do is twist it, okay? So you're just going to twist it until it forms a loop. Now you're twisting both pieces the same way. I'm twisting mine both to the right, and as you're twisting it like that, it wants to wrap around itself, which is what you want it to do. It's a bit fiddly, very satisfying once you get used to it. And just keep that twist going and let it loop. Now when it gets a little scruffy like that, just pull it level with itself, and it will just keep slowly turning itself into string. There we are. This is a long process, so what I'll do in a minute, still keep turning it just the same way, and like I say, every time it goes uneven, just pull one side to the other to get it to level up. Let me stick it on time lapse and show you a bit quicker now. Keep going. Like I say, it's a time consuming process, but it is worth it. I've done this with lots of different plants and fibres. Personally, I think nettle is the strongest. You see that? Turning into string. GoPro. So once you've got yourself where you're ready to add another piece and join it. Now some people knot it, which is alright, but you get a bit of a big lumpy knot in it then. What I like to do is check my meatballs aren't on fire. You see that? Your short piece. That's where we're going to join it. Really, could have done a better job finding one of a similar thickness. There we are. So what you can do, nice and wet, and then you want a good 2-inch worth for the join. And then you're going to twist it together exactly the same way as you were twisting it in the first place to make your string, like that. Yeah. Nice and wet, bit of spit gets it going. And then just continue that on. It's fiddly, well, I'll try and keep it on camera. And just keep twisting it until your join becomes part of your made string itself. There you go, it's unraveled a little. Let's just keep twizzling it back together. Now there's no reason why you couldn't use a bit of natural glue, like a bit of pine resin. See, what I'm doing is holding the top piece with my mouth while I twizzle the other two, and then when you let the top piece go, it wraps itself up naturally on its own. There you go, look. So you can see where the join's now feeding into it, like that, with your joined piece. And then we just keep going. Keep where the joins are nice and together. And that there, you can see now why I staggered them, because if the joins were in exactly the same place, that would be an instant weak point. Keep that, like I say, bit of moisture goes a long way. You could even use the fat off your cooking, because that'd stick it together quite nice. Now that we've got that one join, we're ready to join the second piece on. Just need to check me lunch. Yeah, dinner's alright, it's not burning. So same again. Again, I could have done a better job of selecting a more appropriate sized piece, but we're demonstrating, it doesn't really matter. Give that a nice pull to keep it good. Stuff that in my pocket a minute. I'm just going to thin this piece out just a little bit and just make it a bit easier. Just take a couple of fibres off it. There we are, look. Lovely. Where's he gone? There he is, look. So, same again. So what I'm going to do, let's get it all wet. was that way to the right I was turning it. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Turn those two together to the right. Like I say, it's fiddly. Ultimately worth it. Okay, and then I'm going to just keep let's check that that's neat. Yep, that's not too bad. Keep twizzling. I actually watched somebody else doing this. They were just randomly doing it on a different video, and one of the guys remarked, "You need about 6 hands to do this." You're like, yeah, it would help. It would help. So I'm going to keep this going. So there you go, within about 15 minutes or so, I've got a little over a foot of it, nearly 2 foot. It doesn't want to unravel neither on its own when you've twisted it together like that. It won't just unravel the moment you let it go. And you can see that it is actually relatively decent string. And you can see where the joins are. Obviously you could tidy that up. Nice enough. 3 or 4 times stronger than the single piece on its own when you've made it together like that. It's actually quite handy stuff. Again, I just see this sort of thing on my brain, just instantly thinks fishing. Now, with naturally made strings like this, whatever you've made it from, there is a way to make them stronger and more resilient and less likely to rot. And it's really simple. All you do, take a pan of water, handful of ash from your fire, coil your rope up and boil it for an hour or so. Or just get it boiled and leave it sit, and then when you take your rope out of there, just hang it up, let it dry a bit. It will be a lot more resilient and a lot less likely to rot and break by doing that. You can also boil charcoal in there as well to sort of dye it a little bit, make it a bit of a darker colour. And yes, it's fiddly and a little time consuming, but you get quite a nice product out of it at the end of it. You know, you imagine end of an evening on a camp, you want to just sit down, make yourself some natural cordage. It's a good thing to know how to do. Oh, lunch break. My my Woodobo'd meatballs on a stick already. That is fantastic. Cooked through. Oh, that is beautiful. And because the fire was so rubbish and took so long to get going, it has actually smoked them. So what I've got here is Woodobo smoked meatballs. Wow. The Wooded Beardsman. He's a YouTuber. You've probably heard of the Wooded Beardsman. He's got a lot of cool videos. The Wooded Beardsman, he does a lot of survival stuff, and he's got a lot of videos in cold weather and making his own like homesteading and stuff. But I can recommend the Woodobo. So, oh, excuse me. Oh, meatballs were good. Oh, wow. I suspect that my Woodobo'd chicken probably wants a little bit longer. We don't play games with chicken. It's not so bad with meatballs, they're beef, and it doesn't really matter much if they're not quite there, although they were all perfectly cooked through. But like I say, I suspect that the chicken probably wants a little bit longer. So whilst that's having a little longer, let's get a brew on. Well, I'm quite pleased with myself actually, because I was complaining earlier that I didn't think I'd made enough firewood, and it looks like for what we're doing today I have literally made just the right amount, which is so rare for me. I usually make way too much. So I'll put the kettle in a place that's not particularly on fire, but it'll take its time and it'll be alright. Oh, the meatballs. So just whilst the kettle boils, in the time that I've been ill, I've invested in a good quality camera drone. This one is the ultralight. It's a DJI Mini 2 SE ultralight, and I've had a few little drones before, and I have to say this thing is fantastic for what it is. They're not exactly dirt cheap or anything, but the camera gimbal, the control over it is absolutely fantastic. The range it's got is it'll go pretty much as far as however much battery you've got. Depending on weather and everything else, because sometimes you've not quite got the same signal. I was playing with it last night and I flew it out of signal range. Best thing with these is you can set it so that if it can't read its controller, it just flies home on its own, so you don't have to worry about the thing. Very clever. I actually really enjoy flying it. So far I couldn't be more impressed with it. It's so super easy to use, and it's got a really good quality camera built into it. My tracted smoke again. Won't be many drone footage on this today. I did bring it out with me, but it keeps intermittently raining. Also, there's a lot of stuff above me. It's not the best place to do it. I wanted to do all those kinky drone shots coming up slowly from the fire, and nice big overhead shots and all of that. I'm not going to bother today because, like I say, this isn't the best location. Thanks to where I've put the basher and the trees, I do have basher lines going about 25 metres off into the distance to find an anchor point. I could go to the start of the woodlands, take it up and just show you the whole woods. We'll do that another day. If I did it today, it's literally just sticking drone footage onto a video for the sake of it, and there's no point today. But in the future, when I'm doing other things and some of the fishing videos over the lakes and stuff, we'll get some really nice drone footage. But if you are in the market for a nice little drone that's easy to transport, I can recommend the DJI Mini 2. DJI's got a fantastic range of drones. It's worth looking into if that's something you'd like, and like I say, it is super easy to fly. It surprises me how long you get with it flying with the battery. It really does go a heck of a long time. Good and reliable. It will on its own automatically fight with 35 km/h winds as well, so you don't really have to worry about it. And because it's got GPS, anything like that, if you send it up in the air, you leave it, it'll just stay exactly where it is. It won't waft off with the wind or fly itself away anywhere. So really clever bit of kit, and I can't wait to get using it and sticking it in the videos. But like I say, for today, it would literally just be drone footage for the sake of drone footage, and I don't want to do that. I am still practicing with it, really. It's super easy fly, it's just getting those cinematic shots and things. In fact, the only thing that I've really done with this so far of any merit is pretty much the second that I bought it, my dad was like, "Is that a camera drone?" I'm like, "Yep." He's like, "Get up there and check the chimney for me." So the first thing I've done with it is do a recce around a chimney to see what the damage is over the years of being used and all of that. So that's interesting. If you're worried about a blocked gutter or something like that, find yourself a person with a camera drone. But if you are in the market, I can recommend the DJIs. They're very nice drones. I've had a few other types, and this is by far one of the best ones that I've had easily. So I just thought I'd show you that, and there will be lots of drone footage. My only complaint with it is that this pale grey white colour that just gets dirty dead easy. I have to keep wiping it off with a baby wipe or something, because obviously in the woods your hands are always covered and stuff. So it would be nicer if it was a different colour, but other than that, it's just a lovely simple little thing. But like I say, I won't bother for this video because I'd only be able to get 15-20 feet up, and then there's sticks and stuff everywhere, and as clever as it is, you can still crash it into a tree, and I don't want to do that. So that will be coming in future videos, and it's very transportable. It all just folds away like so. I'm not going to do like a full product review of this at all, because if you want to know, DJI Mini 2 SE, there's 1,000 product reviews on YouTube of people who really experienced with drones or professional drone photographers, so don't take my word for it. By all means, go and see what they've said about it. There's no point me doing a product review. Better people than I have already done extensive product reviews on this thing, so if you want to know more, just YouTube it and you'll see thousands of different reviews with it. Excellent. I think the old brew kettle's just about hot enough for me brew. That chicken's got to be getting ready now. Whoa, I tell you what. Honestly, that Woodobo's gorgeous. With that stuff, you could literally boil a dish rag and it'd taste nice, I'm telling you. Not that I'm trying to sell anything to you or anything like that. I don't do that. It's just if I enjoy something, I'll spread the word, let people know. Anything that I taste, anything I ever get hold of and it turns out to be awful, I'll tell you as such as well. Even if somebody's asked me to review something, if it's terrible, I'll say so. But the Woodobo, gorgeous. There we go, good old half a litre of coffee. Hey, that sorts you right out. One day I might clean this pot. Was originally silver, stainless steel, but now it's a lovely forest black. Right then, folks, so for this next article of Bushcraft cordage, and this is a absolute classic, a mainstay of Bushcraft cordage. And what you will need is a digging stick of sorts. Take a stick. And then what I want to do is not a point, I just want a flat chisel edge on the base of it for digging. That'll do the job. Nice and simple. So what we're looking for here is a good old traditional Bushcraft cordage, good natural wild cordage. It is spruce roots, and you can find these at the bottom of pretty much any member of the pine family. Often easy to find, particularly in a woodland like this where the ground is almost completely pine needles. So usually what you would do is these roots are going to run outwards from the tree, so what you would do is go across that with your digging stick like so until you find one, and there you go, I found one straight away. What I would do, to be honest though, in a woodland like this is literally just kick all this out the way like so. But then once you've found your root, you can, I don't even know if you can even see it from there. Let me just put the camera down a little bit more. Once you've found your root, don't pull at it too hard because you'll snap it when it's still in the ground, and obviously you want it. So what I'm going to do is just chase it out. There's a nice big log buried there. Just keep jiggling and wiggling, find where it goes. Oh, it goes all the way there. Look. Comes out on the surface, like so. Take that off there. Take my digging stick again. Interestingly enough, this root here that I've got here isn't a spruce root. It's actually come off the bottom of a bramble. Interesting, but it will do exactly the same job. And I'm sure, see that there's a spruce root, definitely, because that's coming from that tree. So we'll take him as well. Get as much of it as we can. There's another. Wow, that's turned into a nice long one. Magic. Keep digging. Everywhere around here. How much of this sprucey rooty we're going to get? Now, I did say about the digging stick, but personally I find it's easier to just get in by hand. Look, here's another one as well. Oh, that's a bramble root and all. Wow, magic. This one's going full circle. Get in here and dig like a Jack Russell. There we go. I'll just whip that off there because I don't need too much of it for what we're showing you. So we've got that one. And then I've got this one. This is where I will want it all digging sticky, isn't it? Scrape a bit of ground out. That's now decided it's going to just go straight down into a load of other stuff. Gently tease it out. There we go. Beautiful. Lovely. And there we have, well, 2 roots. So there we have it. Your roots, spruce and bramble root. I don't know why I knotted them up to bring them here from over there. Just force of habit with cords, I guess. But these are nice and flexible, nice and strong. You can, however, with these, split them to get more out of them. Why? I don't understand. They're everywhere. You can literally find them all over the place. And splitting them's a bit of a nuisance. It's a bit faffy. You can see I've already started on this one. Now, what you do is literally just start the split with a knife or something, and then keep pulling them open apart with your fingers. Now, inevitably, when you're doing this, one side will start getting thinner. When that happens, pull the thicker side, not the thinner one. So pull the thicker side away from the thinner one, and that then will start thinning out and centralize the split for you. Yeah, it's a time-consuming nuisance. I guess if for whatever reason you haven't got that many spruce roots, you might want to do this. Or I know that there is a perfectly valid reason to do this, and that's like spruce roots, or roots in general, are one of those things that you could use for like primitive sewing. So say if you're making a bucket out of birch bark or something like that, you could stitch it together with these roots, in which case you would want thinner versions. Me personally, I would just keep digging until I found a thinner root, because this is a pain in the backside. It's not something I've ever been a fan of, splitting these things, but it can be done, as you can see. Just remember though, one side will inevitably thin out more than the other, in which case it's the thicker side you pull away from the thinner. Yeah. Oh, nearly broke it. There we go. And you can see now, if where there was one, there is now 2. But it is good, strong stuff, very flexible, readily available, it's everywhere. It's kind of a use once thing, because say you've tied your shelter up with this, it will settle into how you've tied it, basically. So if you came to undo it and try and use it again, wouldn't really be very good for that. But for that single use purpose, it's everywhere and it is readily available. Just dig it up and find it, really. So, all in the name of good fun. Spruce and bramble roots. I save that, do something with it later, don't know what yet. So, one quick battery change later. So, just before we get to my last couple of cord types, I think the Woodobo Chicken is finally ready. Oh, smell that. Absolutely delicious. There's just no better way to cook than on a stick over a fire in the woods. It is both the future and the past. Right now it's a gift because it's the present. Bit of a cheap joke there. My word. Birdies singing, trees around,
Woodobo.
Lovely. I've actually run out of water and I fancy another brew, but there's a little creek running over there, so it's not the most perfect of water. A bit of detritus floating about in it, but we'll boil the devil out of it. I'm sure it'll be fine. This next cord, another natural, easy, quick cord, possibly the quickest of all the natural cord options that are available, and it is something that I have mentioned before in one of the other videos, and it is of course the Bramble. They are everywhere and they make a handy bit of quick cord. It's pretty simple, pretty quick and easy. So now I just need to find one. GoPro. So there we have the Bramble. Debow it, take all the side bits off. Now whenever you're debowing anything, it's easier done when they're leaning downwards. Now I know with the Bramble they tend to grow whichever way they wish, but for trees and stuff, when you're debowing actual big sticks, it's easier when the branches point down, not up, just so you know. So just get all these out of the way. Now I know what you're thinking, Brambles are spiky. Well, you're thinking this unless you've watched the other video where I say about this. But you're probably thinking, oh, Brambles are spiky. Yeah, they are. They're also quite snappy. They snap easy, but they don't, and they're not if you do this. No, not sticking your axe in a log. I'll show you. There's the log. There's the log. Lovely. Right then, so what you need to do to make your Bramble into cord, put it on a log or something, take the back of your axe or a rock, and basically pound it, squish it flat. What that does, well, it gets rid of most of the spikes for you, but also it's flattening the pith inside. Now the pith inside is quite stiff, and that's the bit that will encourage it to snap when you bend it. So by smashing that pith to bits, you are separating and waking up all the fibres in the outer layer of it and getting rid of that easy snappy bit on the inside. Yeah. Now really, the more times you do this, beat it, and the more sort of cautiously and more nicer you do it, the better it's going to be and the better it's going to work. But as usual for these sorts of things, this is for demonstration purposes, and I just want to show you. But once beaten flat, it becomes a lot more flexible, a lot less snappy, and a lot less spiky, and it is quite strong. The back end, or the thicker end, which is obviously inevitably going to be tougher, will probably want a little more beating than the thinner bits. That's fine. Take a few extra moments to do that. Starting to wonder what my creek water coffee is going to taste like. Just throw extra coffee in it. Make it like tarmac, and then you don't have to worry. Magic! And there we have it. Now very flexible, very rope-like, very fibrous, and you can see how a couple of winds around something, it'll knot, you can tie it, and it becomes incredibly strong. One of the first things I ever used this for is a long time ago at a different part of the woods. I was making a little area, a little camp area, and I was making a fence, and the way I was making the fence is the whole 2 sticks up, leaving a space in between, fill that with brush and build it up like that, and then every so often I'd lash the sticks together across the brush to hold it all in place. This was what I used to lash it together, and it lasted for until we ended up taking it down in the end. Sad story, a load of less than decent people found it, started using it, started leaving litter everywhere, so we took the lot down. Basically, I didn't want that. It was a perfectly clean place before, so we ended up taking it down. But for as long as it stood, this stuff did the job and held it together perfectly fine. So Bramble, with the addition of a rock or an axe, is the quickest cord that you're going to find anywhere, really, unless you're in a place where vines grow all over the spot. But this stuff, and it really is quite strong as well. And just like the string we made earlier, you can twist it, and if you can be bothered, if you've got the time to give it a good old twisting, you make it even stronger still. So good old Bramble, an excellent easy wild cordage option there. So for my last cordage of the day, another natural wild cordage is withies. Now withies are usually the young fresh shoots growing out of trees, particularly willow trees make about the bestest ones. We don't really have many, if any, willow trees in the woods where I am at the moment. It is predominantly pine, oak, birch, and a lot of other sort of native Brit species. But holly itself, these little shoots of holly make for pretty good withies, I have to say. Again, debow and cleans all the signs off, and as you can see, look how flexible that is. Without snapping it and without damaging the actual plant, well, it would do if I was using it, because I'd be ripping it out of the ground. But you can see how flexible it is. You can wrap that round stuff and knot it really easily. I'm not going to bother with this particular holly. I'm going to leave it alone because that's not what I'd wanted to use as a withy. I want something else, but I just thought I'd show you that these long shoots of holly trimmed up will do the job of a withy anyway. And the thing with a withy is you want to keep bending it, get lots of flex in it. If I can find something more appropriate, I'll show you that technique. But even with a holly like this, once you've trimmed it up, just keep bending it, flexing it, bending it and flexing it, basically teaching it how to bend, and it will then do the job for you of a withy and tie stuff up. But I went, oh, bird of prey again. What is it? I think it's a buzzard, just majestically flying on the breeze. By the time I turn the camera, it'll have gone, but always lovely to see, that is. Anyway, I need to find some young saplingy thing that's going to do the job. Possibly you there. Right then, so again, this isn't willow. I'm not 100% sure what this is, because it's so young and fresh. I imagine it looks like a sycamore. Looks like it's going to grow into a little baby sycamore. So when you're using withies, which again, it's not just willow, a lot of other things will do the job. This is good and tall, so well, long enough as you would get a decent sized withy out of it. Now what you need to do with it though, before you cut it off at the base, crank it and twist it and twist it and break all the fibers inside to make it more flexible. Now I aren't going to do that to this. This is obviously quite a young tree. We need them. I'm not going to rip it out of the ground and murder it just for the sake of showing you a withy. Once you've done that, once you've twisted it and just keep literally cranking it and twisting it to get the inside to soften up, it behaves very much like your tree root would or stuff like that. There's not really any point murdering this for the sake of showing you. And you can already see it's good and flexible, and just like the holly a moment ago, the more that you wind it about patiently, teach it to stretch and bend, the more flexible it's going to be. And just like the tree roots and stuff, once you've got this wrapped around something and knotted, it's incredibly strong. It's not going to go anywhere, and it's going to last quite a long time. And you can already see with that just how flexible it is, which it will do. It's a young sapling, it's very flexible, it's used to bending all the time in the wind, and you can literally heave it all the way over to knot. And it's amazing. This is obviously a living one, and I can get it all the way around like so. You can imagine tying a shelter up and you could knot it and wrap it into itself. I'd be able to do that to it without doing it any permanent harm whatsoever. So I'll untie it, and then we'll leave this one in peace and let it grow. There's no point. Really what I was looking for more than anything, because this is obviously a young tree, a young sapling, poor little thing's just making its way in the world. It doesn't need me yanking it out of the ground just to show you how to tie something up. What I was really looking for is something like a downed tree where you get all the offshoots coming off it, and then just take one of those offshoots. You're not doing any harm to the main tree. Hazel is a particularly good one for that, because hazel was always covered in fresh and very long straight shoots. They do twist up nice and easily into withies and tie things up really rather nice. Question is, unless you're in a forest that has absolutely no pine or spruce or brambles, do you really need to use them? It's very rare I ever use a withy for anything. I've seen people use them for like pot hangers, making ropes to hang pots and things. It's all about whatever it is you wish to use at the time. But like I say, I'm going to leave this chap in peace, let him grow, and over the years he'll turn into a large sycamore tree. we don't really need to rip that out of the ground, just to demonstrate how a withy works. If you are using withies though, just remember, like I said, twist and twist and twist and twist. Wake up all those fibres inside. Make sure that they all end up nice and flexible. Right, I'm gonna go and see what this creek coffee tastes like. Can't be that bad. It's just boiled water. I often drink out of creeks and rivers and stuff, but I've usually got like a millbank bag or something like that. Now those don't filter it to the point where you can just drink it. Millbank bags and things like that, they're just detritus filters. They literally just take the flakes and grit and leaves and stuff out of it. If in doubt, always boil your water, and like they say, you want at least 4 minutes on a rolling boil to make sure that any microbes or anything in there are completely dead. And it might taste a little funny, but it is safe to drink after a 4-minute rolling boil. I'm pretty sure everything's dead probably after a 2-minute rolling boil, but when it comes to not getting food poisoning, yeah, boil the devil out of it and make sure, because food poisoning is no fun whatsoever. And I know what you're saying, it's not food, it's water. It will still make you sick, and other things. It ain't just the top end stuff will come flying out of. So let's see how this is going. Do we have a rolling boil? Yes we do, I can hear it. And it's been on there now for at least 10 minutes. So I'm sure it's good. 99. Come on, Freya, you're in my way. Bless you. Can't believe how many people love that axe. It's going to end up having its own channel at this rate. If I can get hold of the original axe heads, I might actually make maybe 10 of them and either give them away as prizes or, you know, offer them as some sort of competition thing. Prizes or some sort of competition thing. Yes, Dan, that would both be prizes then, wouldn't it? You know what I mean. Ow! Even through the gloves, it's hot. Come on. Look, this cooking pot's great. It does not like letting go of the lid. Yeah, that smells like water. Yes. Creek coffee. That's just made me think of, there's another bushcrafter I follow called Creek Stewart. I think he's an American chap, and my brain just went, is a Creek coffee a coffee made for you by Creek Stewart? Not in this case. It's a coffee that's actually come out of the creek. Leave that to cool so I can put it in its bag, give it a good old stir. Well, I've always got this spoon with me. I should really be a bit more bushcraft and just use a stick. Lovely. Right then guys, that's pretty much all I need to say today about cordage and all of that. So thank you for watching, thank you for staying through it. Warm. Yeah, tastes like coffee flavoured mud. Very nice. And a big thank you to all of my subscribers, particularly in this absence while I've been ill. I know it's been over a month since I last posted a video or anything like that, and I have checked and I haven't lost anybody, nobody's unsubscribed, so thank you very much for that, and your patience, it's always appreciated. We all get ill and stuff from time to time, and other things get in the way. So, and if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe, send me credit cards, send me blank checks, give me your mother's maiden name, your postcode, and name of your first pet. Wow, it's just hot. It tastes fine, it's just hot. So yeah, if you've not subscribed, consider so. If you liked it, if you think it's a load of old rubbish, then don't bother. Feel free to leave a comment. I always try and respond to any comment that does get posted, so I do my best in between, you know, work and family life and everything else. But other than that guys, it has been a lovely day out in the woods. It's been a lovely return. after this little period of illness. It's nice to get back out once more. And this year I've got a lot of things coming up, a lot of bushcrafty stuff coming up, so I'm hoping it's going to be quite a big year for the channel. Try and get some different stuff. I know that most of the things that I've done so far have been set around the sort of instructional guide, showing you how to do this, that and the other, or what's what. That is what I wanted to do. Now I'm going to move on and we're going to go on to actual little adventures, get on some camps. There is going to be, I hope nobody's too squeamish, because I've got permissions on several farms and places, so there's going to be some hunting rabbits and squirrels and stuff that's going to lead to catching kooks and all that. If you don't like the sound of that, then it will say clearly on those vids what they are. You don't have to watch them if you're not too into that. I know some people probably won't like it, but unfortunately it is the way of life. If I don't eat them, somebody else is going to shoot them. So, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff coming this year, and you will at some point get the privilege of seeing a lot of my dodgy drone footage as well. So there's something to look forward to. Other than that, guys, as always, get yourselves out there, get bushcrafting, get enjoying yourselves. Above all, be safe. Go and find yourself some natural cordage, make some shelters, something like that. By all means, if you do anything like that, please do feel free. Stick a photo up in the comments. I'm pretty sure you can do that on YouTube. I'm not sure. I think my email address is on there somewhere. You could always just email me with it if you so wish. And we'll see you again with the next video very soon. Other than that, that's Bosun Dan done for the day.